Right, I'm off.
Right, let's get going. This will be going through that weird...
That leads out of the cockpit.
I wish we'd stop doing that. Hatch down here, I guess.
I haven't been up here long, and already I think I've started to lose muscle density.
In we go.
On a more positive note, it would appear my bone density has remained unaffected.
What?
In a bygone era, we could have just stuffed a child down there to sort this out. That's why we voted out of the EU. To get back to the good old days.
Can I equip that and use it? Or can I combine it on the...
Triple action. Removes grease, fights odors, preserves one's dignity while attempting to squeeze through a narrow opening. The holy trinity of cleaning products.
I like the fact that
If you want
I'm
a job done around
suggesting
here, you'll probably
solutions
do
to
it
problems,
yourself.
and it actually works, which is so unlike most adventure
Whilst
games.
that did smell like a spring breeze, it did chafe a turd. I think I'd better go carb-free. Yeah, let's see.
Okay, that's not really helping me. Another awesome screensaver.
It doesn't strike me as much of a talker.
Right, not got much choice in this room.
I don't feel suitably dressed to be heading out.
Right, do I need a helmet? I haven't seen a helmet anywhere. Aha!
We're a tad under-resourced to be attempting that at the moment.
Engineering. That seems like the place I want to go. Emergency Brexit.
Guess not. We made that mistake once before. That switch activates the self-destruct sequence.
Okay, it seems like I don't want to touch that electric fence.
It's a precision-engineered German motorized screwdriver. I'm sure there's a more practical use for this. As I said to the boys on our rugby tour of the Netherlands back in '87, I'm not touching that without adequate protection.
Okay, maybe I need to go to the lab then?
If you could bottle it, you'd make a fortune.
Oh, okay.
It isn't great for the environment. Replacement ribbons are a real biohazard.
Nice Resident Evil
The box is
reference.
sealed shut. Why, it would be impossible to determine the fate of any biological life form inside.
Alright, what's over this side? A bike? That's another pedal. Why is her bike connected to some heavy metal? What a weird thing.
It has a warmth that you simply don't get with digital. Especially if you burn the sleeve as well. There's nothing on the turntable.
So if I use this now? Hear scratching. Yep. Attention to detail in this game is pretty damn good, I've got to say. Is this a UFO catcher for frogs?
It doesn't appear to be working.
Well, let's try the screwdriver on it.
We'll agree to disagree about that.
Oh, you would.
I think it would be best if I did something else. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard. I remember when they talked about keeping BBC 3. It's part of the laboratory equipment the biologist we were supposed to have on board brought. I'm not sure what happened to him. No one's seen him for weeks. Not to worry. I'm sure he'll turn up. I don't think they'd get along.
Have I got anything in my inventory that'd be useful here? And cheddar cheese?
I fear we may need to curtail this imaginative thinking. I'm sure there's another more rational use for this. I can't use these two together.
Okay. I'm assuming the screwdriver's going to be useful for something, but I haven't...
That leads back into the
Do I need to go back upstairs?
That leads into the cockpit.
See if this guy's got any choice quotes that'll help.
Aren't you supposed to be downstairs turning the power off and on?
Sub-Lieutenant Jones!
Aye, Boyo?
I'm just going outside, and maybe sometime.
Okay, I do have to go outside then.
You couldn't hurry it up a bit, Boyo. I'm getting bored looking at the same old view.
Bored! Looking at the infinite majesty and wonder of the stars.
I meant looking at you.
For the most part, I think things have been going quite well so far, don't you?
I guess our ship hasn't been ripped apart by a cloud of space debris travelling at an unavoidable velocity, catapulting us into the abyss of space, causing us to float aimlessly until our inevitable oxygen-starved deaths.
That's the spirit. Are you sure there's nothing else we can do in here to get things moving?
Continually talking to me is certainly keeping you from moving.
I do enjoy our little chats. I go, look how I go, faster than an arrow from Cupid's bow.
I doubt continually quoting Shakespeare verbatim will improve things enough to get us that Writers Guild nomination.
There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
All that glisters isn't gold, Boyo.
Right, okay. So, screwdriver. What is there to screwdriver? Whatever it is. Anything? Nope.
That leads out of the cockpit. I doubt combining these two will prove to be particularly useful. I'm sure there's a more practical use for this.
I'm at that point in the adventure game canon where I'm just using the screwdriver on everything.
We'll agree to disagree about that. I think it would be best if I did something else with this.
It's in the oven.
It's not the worst idea I've ever heard.
Same animation.
Surely you can't be serious. I don't think they'd get along.
There aren't that many rooms. There aren't many places I can go, so...
I fear we may need to curtail this imaginative thinking. I'm sure there's another more rational use for this.
What's this?
No flagship worth its salt will be worth... It specifically says no rustling. The only inanimate object I tend to chat to is Sub-Lieutenant Jones. I can't use these two together. Right. I'll have this open in a jiffy.
Aha! I was just being dense. The hell did I just pick up? A motor. I've replaced a screwdriver with a motor. What the hell is the motor for?
Once more onto the breach we go. I doubt combining these two will prove... I'm sure there's a more practical use for this.
I feel like an idiot. I've hit that point. I'm in that point of the adventure game where I don't know what to do next.
We'll agree to disagree about that. I think it would be best if I did something else. As I said to the boys on our
God,
rugby tour of
don't.
the Netherlands back in 87,
Not again.
I'm not touching
It's a bad
that
joke the
without
first time.
protection.
What am I missing?
It's not the worst idea I've ever heard. I don't think they'd get along.
Right, okay. The globe?
I fear we may need to curtail this imaginative thinking.
Alright, let's
I'm
go
sure
back
there's
upstairs
another
then.
more rational use for this.
Or into the weird space room where there's nothing. Compressed air.
Genuine British compressed air.
Back upstairs then, I guess. There's nothing down here that I can think of.
It's an informative map. Now, let's see.
What the hell could you use a motor for?
I can't use these two together. Presumably the manufacturer opted for shards of metal as opposed to goose down.
Shards of metal.
The upholstery is made from genuine organic polyester. I doubt combining these two will prove to be particularly useful. It's empty, lacking in substance.
I'm guessing there's no hint system.
That leads into the kitchen. That's the radio wave oven. I'm sure there's a more practical use for this.
I don't know what to do with this motor.
We'll agree to disagree about that.
So count that as my first Google. I'm completely on the wrong track. As you'd expect. So what I'm actually supposed to be doing right now is he talks about that glove not being big enough. Obviously, you can make the glove bigger with the compressed air downstairs. Obviously. That was not self-explanatory to me, but that will get us where we need to go. I did promise myself I was not going to try and Google anything during this, because I'm a pain in the arse for doing that sort of stuff when I'm playing adventure games. If I hit a puzzle I don't know, go, oh, can't be bothered. But that's not the spirit of playing devil's advocate.
I'm sure this will come in. Wait for it. Handy.
Oh. Right, so now can I go and pick up the whatever's in that cat litter? Is that what the glove's for? Where was that? Was that in the kitchen? No, it's in the bedroom, isn't it? Got any some PTO players I've crushed. That's where it is.
If I'm not going to rummage in there wearing one pair of gloves, I can hardly see why I would with two.
Okay, so that's not what the glove's for. So what's the glove for? Okay, what was downstairs that I could use the glove on?
If you want a job done around here, you've got to do it yourself.
What I'm hoping it's not is what I'm about to try. No, don't want to go in there.
I think it would be best if I did something else with this.
Is this room? The only thing I could think of that doesn't make any sense if it does work, but... Yep, there we go. Don't you smile at me.
Voila! That should significantly reduce the risk of death by electrocution. Always. This should do the trick.
Whoa!
No, that's, yes, right. Oops, I'm ever so clumsy. Ah well, no harm done. Just check. I wouldn't know what to say.
What about that nightmare vision we just had? Let's get out of the airlock before the ghosts come back. What's that?
I see Allard's activated the autopilot and skived off. I'm sorry, I don't believe we've met. I'm Frank, but please, call me Captain English.
Welcome.
Captain English.
How may I be of assistance?
So, how's everything going? Are we on track to be finished by tea?
ETA to waypoint, Tango Echo Alpha, calculating, cannot define. Please refer to string length idiom for more details.
So, how long have you been an autopilot?
Calculating. Error. You do not have permission to access this data.
Data.
Don't suppose there's a Mr. Autopilot, perchance?
Compiler error. Incompatible types. Access denied.
I think I'll log off.
It is now safe to be removed.
Okay, so do I go find Alex then? Or Allard?
I see the autopilot's working, unlike Sub-Lieutenant Jones.
Is he making Hot Wheels?
Sub-Lieutenant Jones!
Aye, Boyo?
What is it you're tinkering with there, Jones? That isn't our reconnaissance rover you're disassembling, is it?
Well, but, funny story. While you were downstairs attending to that very complicated, laborious task, flicking that switch on and off, I've been running a variety of pre-mission calibration tests on the Beagle 2-2.
This is what the motor's going to be for,
I
innit?
presume that's why the floor's covered with bits of toy Hot Wheels track.
Firstly, the fact that this modular vehicular pathway simulation system happens to be mass-produced and branded as a children's toy is irrelevant. And secondly, yes.
That's all well and good, Sub-Lieutenant Jones. However, if I recall correctly, we were specifically advised that the Beagle 2-2 tended to function significantly better when its complicated array of electronics and mechanical components were positioned inside its aluminium housing.
Look, I just have to make a few minor repairs. During a centrifugal force resistance simulation, the rover proved exceedingly resistant.
So it flew off the loop bit.
That would be a valid interpretation of events, yes.
Sounds like I'm going to be required to go on some kind of scavenger hunt.
No, I don't think so. You're gonna need
Get the
to.
rover going again?
For the time being, that's all I feel I'm obligated to offer, yes.
I think the rigorous nature of the test may have burned out the main motor.
I see.
I've already got you.
I'll have to find something to create some sort of electromagnet that'll revolve when a current is passed through it. I'll have to fashion a pulley system of sorts to drive power to the wheels. Something with a taut elastic band should do the trick, like an alluring undergarment. Now, if I was to remove the elastic...
Alternatively, but you could just always grab me a spare. We've got a cupboard full of them.
I don't suppose you noticed anything out of the ordinary earlier when I was performing that emergency systems reset procedure. Specifically immediately once the power came back on.
No. Why, should I have?
Well, I don't know. Probably not. Forget I mentioned it. Who's driving the boat?
Nobody. We're tied. I turned the autopilot on.
She was only installed a week ago and already her standards are slipping. Be sure to put your toys away when you're done.
Right. Give him the motor then.
Let it not be said I don't give you anything, Sub-Lieutenant Jones.
An unhealthy reliance on migraine medication already proves that, but...
Now get this mess cleared up and put the Beagle 2-2 back together. By Jove, it works!
In 600,000 yards, your destination will be on the right. You've reached your destination.
Sub-Lieutenant Jones, we've arrived. The new world. Quickly, break open a container of property of ER2 flags and prepare a landing party.
As much as I'd
That's
love
cool.
to jump onto the surface and soak up the radioactive atmosphere of this uncharted, most
We're
likely
number one.
fatally hazardous planet, I think it may be an idea to send the Beagle 2-2 down first, just to get a feel for the place.
I considered your suggestion, Sub-Lieutenant Jones, and have made the executive decision to send the Beagle 2-2 down for a quick recce
Nice
prior
depth
to
of
making
field
our
stuff
own
going on.
triumphant descent.
I wonder what
The
this looks
extra
like on
time will allow
Switch.
us to properly consider which 19th century member of the aristocracy to name this place after.
Launching probe.
That lasted a long time.
Blast! The motor was a dud. Probably made by a Brummie or someone else from the north.
I wouldn't say Birmingham's in the north.
Anyone above Enfield's north as far as I'm concerned, Sub-Lieutenant Jones. Well, we'll have to go down and salvage the rover. It'll look very embarrassing if we
Everyone in the
lose another
Midlands and the
one of
North
these.
now hates this
First
character.
down,